That Tuesday afternoon, Elon Musk sat in the large conference room at Tesla headquarters, surrounded by fluorescent lights and serious faces. The meeting had just ended, but the weight of pressure still lingered. On the table, stacks of documents and project plans remained, serving as constant reminders of the monumental decisions awaiting him. Today was one of those days where it felt like everything was piling on his shoulders: endless meetings, a flood of emails demanding attention, and countless decisions both big and small that needed resolution. For a moment, Elon let his mind drift. His eyes wandered to the large glass window overlooking the city bathed in the glow of the setting sun. The shimmering skyscrapers and bustling traffic below seemed like a different world, far removed from the relentless calculations of the future, space missions, and self-driving cars. It was one of those rare days when even Elon Musk, renowned for his relentless drive and ceaseless work ethic, felt the need to pause, to take a moment of simplicity and peace. Then, suddenly, a thought crossed his mind: fast food. Not just any fast food, but Taco Bell. Elon felt a craving for something uncomplicated, something nostalgic. Memories of his younger days, when he was hustling to make ends meet, flashed through his mind. Those quick fast food meals in between long hours of programming were often the only things that kept him going. He recalled that period when everything was just dreams and unformed projects, when he was a young, ambitious man trying to carve out his place in the world. Without a second thought, Elon stepped out of the conference room and headed straight for his Tesla. He needed a moment to breathe, and perhaps a Taco Bell meal could offer him a small slice of peace. Elon's Tesla glided smoothly down the road toward the nearest Taco Bell. It was a small store tucked between a convenience shop and a shopping center. He felt a sense of relief. This wasn't the kind of place anyone would expect a billionaire to show up. He liked that, the quiet anonymity, free from interruptions. No security team, no assistants with constantly buzzing phones. Just Elon and his hunger. Dressed in a simple black hoodie and jeans, he looked like any ordinary person. As he stepped into the store, the familiar ding of the doorbell greeted him. The scent of seasoned beef and melted cheese wafted through the air, mingling with the hum of a soda machine in the corner. Inside, there weren't many customers, just a few quietly eating their meals. No one seemed to notice him, at least not yet. Elon walked up to the counter, glancing briefly at the menu even though he already knew what he wanted: a Crunch Wrap Supreme. Today, he decided to order two. Why not? He was here to enjoy a relaxing meal without overthinking anything. Elon approached the counter and placed his order. The cashier, a young woman with a slightly nervous smile, stared at him for a moment, seemingly realizing who was standing before her. She hesitated briefly but quickly regained her composure and forced a polite smile. "Hello. Welcome to Taco Bell. How can I help you?" Elon gave a gentle smile, trying to appear approachable and avoid drawing attention. "I'd like 2 Crunch Wrap Supremes," he said simply. The cashier entered the order, doing her best to act normal despite her internal surprise. She handed him the receipt and told him it would take a few minutes to prepare. As he waited, Elon turned around and began to observe the surroundings. He noticed a few customers coming and going and felt a sense of ease knowing that no one seemed to recognize him. But then, something caught his attention: 2 young boys sitting at a table near the counter, whispering to each other. At first, Elon didn't think much of it, assuming it was just a typical conversation between kids. But then, a single word froze him in place: steal. He turned his head slightly, listening more carefully without making it obvious. One of the boys was whispering urgently, his tone anxious. "We have to do it tonight. If we don't, Mom won't get better." Elon felt his entire body freeze as he processed the words he had just overheard. His hand paused mid-motion as he was about to reach for his wallet. Listening more intently, he could hardly believe what he was hearing. The younger boy, who appeared to be the little brother, responded in a frightened voice. "But what if we get caught? You know what happens to people who steal. It'll just make everything worse." Elon turned to get a clearer view of the 2 boys. From this angle, he could see their faces, young, anxious, and full of fear. They couldn't have been older than 13 or 14, huddled together at the table like they were carrying a burden far too heavy for their age. The older boy, clearly the brother, leaned in closer and whispered, "We'll just take money from the cash register. Nobody will notice. We need the money, and I don't know any other way to get it." Standing there, Elon's mind started racing. This wasn't typical mischief. This was desperation. He could hear it in the older boy's voice, a hopelessness that came from having no other options. The mention of their mother told him something was deeply wrong. In that moment, Elon knew he couldn't just stand by and pretend he hadn't heard. But he also couldn't approach them directly and risk scaring them into doing something reckless. He needed to act carefully and immediately. Turning back to the cashier, Elon made a quick decision. "Hey, can you do me a favor?" he asked quietly. The cashier blinked, surprised but willing to help. "Of course. What do you need?" she replied. Elon smiled. "Can you add 2 more crunch wraps to my order? I'd like to pay for them now." She nodded, quickly punching the order into the system. As she worked, Elon took a deep breath, preparing himself. He needed to approach the boys delicately, finding a way to help without scaring them off. With the bag of food in hand and a calm demeanor, Elon walked toward the boys' table. At first, they didn't notice him, too engrossed in their tense conversation. But as Elon got closer, the older boy glanced up, his eyes widening in recognition when he saw who was standing before him. Elon offered a gentle smile, holding up the bag. "Hey there," he said softly. "I ordered a bit too much food, and I was wondering if you two could help me finish these crunch wraps." The 2 boys looked at Elon with hesitation and astonishment. The older one acted as if he were caught between a dream and reality, while the younger boy seemed very nervous. Both of them appeared ready to bolt at the slightest sign of trouble. Noticing this, Elon tried to keep his voice as calm and reassuring as possible as he set the bag of food on the table and carefully pulled out the crunch wraps. "You can call it whatever you like," Elon said with a kind smile. "But I think it's best to have a meal first before making any big decisions." First, the boys hesitated, reluctant to accept the offer. But Elon's disarming demeanor and friendly tone seemed to chip away at their defenses. After a long pause, they cautiously took the crunch wraps from Elon and began eating in silence. Elon took a bite of his own crunch wrap, feeling a sense of ease start to return. Once the boys had relaxed a little, Elon spoke again, his voice gentle. "I happened to overhear part of your conversation. It sounds like you're dealing with something really difficult." The boys froze mid-bite, their faces suddenly filled with tension. The older boy stared at Elon, his voice defensive as he said, "We didn't do anything wrong. We were just talking." Elon nodded, maintaining a calm demeanor. "I understand. You haven't done anything wrong. I just want to help. I heard you mention your mom. Is she sick?" The younger boy's eyes began to well up with tears, while the older boy hesitated, as if trying to shield his brother. Finally, he nodded, his voice trembling. "Yes, she's very sick. She needs medicine. But we don't have any money. We've tried everything." But Elon recalled what he had overheard earlier. He knew the boys felt trapped and had been contemplating a desperate act. "I understand that feeling," Elon said, his voice soft but steady. "The feeling that you don't know what else to do. But you know, there are other ways that won't get you into trouble." The older boy looked up at Elon, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "But you don't understand," he said with despair in his voice. "She needs the medicine now. We're out of time. If we don't do something, she won't make it." Elon could feel the anguish and fear in the boy's voice. He knew this wasn't the moment to lecture or scold. It was a moment to help. "I can help," Elon said firmly yet gently. "I have the means to get your mom the medicine she needs. You don't have to do something you know is wrong. Let me help." The boys stared at him, their eyes wide with disbelief. "You'd really help us?" the younger boy stammered. his voice filled with both hope and doubt. Elon nodded, offering a warm smile. Yes, I'll help, and I don't want anything in return. All I ask is that you keep taking care of each other and your mom. That's what matters most. The older boy exhaled deeply, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his small shoulders. Thank you, he said, his voice trembling with emotion. Tears began streaming down his face, and he no longer tried to hide them. Elon reached out and gently placed a reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder. It's going to be okay, he said softly. We'll figure this out together. In that moment, Elon knew he was exactly where he needed to be. Not in a boardroom or on a conference call, but here, helping these two boys at their most vulnerable. After the three of them settled at the table, Elon observed the two boys eating their crunch wraps with hesitation but clear hunger. He understood that to help them, he first needed to make them feel comfortable and safe. Elon sat quietly for a while, letting time pass naturally, without pressing them or asking questions. He simply shared a meal with them, like a chance meeting among strangers. After a while, when the boys seemed more at ease, Elon spoke. I know that sometimes things get really tough, he said, his voice warm and full of empathy. I've been in situations where I didn't know what to do, where it felt like everything was against me. The older boy looked up at Elon. In his eyes, skepticism gradually gave way to a hint of trust. You've been through tough times too? He asked, his voice tinged with doubt. Elon nodded. Absolutely. I've had moments when I felt completely stuck, not knowing what to do next. But in those times, I always tried to find a way forward and never give up. The younger boy stayed silent, his eyes filled with curiosity. The older boy sighed. We don't want to do anything bad. But our mom needs medicine. If we don't have the money, she won't make it. Elon sat quietly for a moment before responding. I understand, and I want to help you. I have the ability to help your mom, and I will. But you have to promise me something. Never think about doing anything that could put yourselves in danger. Both boys looked at Elon with astonishment and disbelief. The older boy asked hesitantly, You're really going to help us? Elon nodded, his voice steady and reassuring. Yes, I will help. No one your age should have to go through what you're facing. The younger boy started to cry, tears streaming down his face as he looked at Elon with overwhelming gratitude. The older boy tried to hold back his emotions but couldn't. He bowed his head, his voice choked with emotion. Thank you. Thank you so much. Elon placed a gentle hand on the older boy's shoulder and said softly, It's nothing. We'll figure this out together. But you have to promise me something. You must never think about stealing again. Okay? Both boys nodded vigorously, their eyes lighting up with renewed hope. For the first time in a long while, they felt like they didn't have to face the world alone. Once things had settled down, Elon began asking more about the boy's mother's condition. He needed to know exactly what she required to offer effective help. The older boy started explaining, detailing his mother's health struggles, her hospital stays, and the prescriptions the family couldn't afford. He spoke about how their father had left them, leaving their mother to work tirelessly to support the two brothers. Elon listened intently, absorbing every detail. He could see how much pain and pressure these children had endured. When the boy finished his story, Elon nodded and said, I'll cover all the medical expenses for your mom. I'll make sure she gets the best treatment and all the medicine she needs. The two boys stared at him, their eyes wide in disbelief. Elon continued, I'll get in touch with one of the best doctors to help your mom, and I'll take care of all the costs. You don't need to worry about anything anymore. After the meal, Elon accompanied the two boys to the hospital where their mother was staying. On the way, he called a doctor he knew, asking them to come and assess the mother's health. Upon arrival, Elon quickly met with the doctor and then proceeded to the hospital room with them. The two boys followed closely behind Elon, their eyes filled with hope. They gazed at their mother, lying in the hospital bed, looking frail and exhausted. Elon approached the bedside, gently taking her hand. and spoke softly. "Hello, I'm Elon. I met your two sons, and I'm here to help your family." The mother looked at him with weary but grateful eyes. She didn't know who this man was, but she could feel the sincerity and warmth in his words. The doctor promptly began an examination, and Elon assured them that he would cover all the medical expenses. In the days that followed, the boy's mother received the best care possible. Elon arranged for her to be transferred to a better hospital, with all expenses covered by him. The two boys no longer had to worry about how to earn money for their mother's medicine. Instead, they could spend their time by her side, caring for and loving her without the weight of financial burdens. Elon visited occasionally, bringing food and toys for the boys. He didn't just provide financial help. He restored their faith in life, showing them that even in the darkest times, there is always hope. The family's life gradually improved. The mother began to recover, and the boys returned to school. Elon's assistance went beyond material support. He gave them a belief that in this world, there are still people willing to help when you need it most. Elon Musk, a man preoccupied with monumental projects and dreams of the future, took the time to change the life of one small family. And in doing so, he created a story not just about aid, but about humanity and hope. After the boy's mother was transferred to a better hospital, her recovery began to unfold miraculously. After the initial difficult days of treatment, she started to regain her ability to speak and could feel the warmth of her two sons by her side. Friends and neighbors began visiting, astonished to see the family receiving care at such a high-quality hospital. They asked the boys about the kind man who had helped their family. Elon Musk felt deeply that helping a family in their time of helplessness was one of the most meaningful things he had ever done. He started visiting the family more often, bringing warm meals and sharing stories of his various adventures to help the boys relax. The boys could clearly feel Elon's genuine care. They no longer had to worry about paying for medicine or facing the pressure of making a living. Instead, they could focus entirely on their studies and caring for their mother. Life began to look brighter for them. A month later, the boy's mother had made significant progress in her recovery. She could now walk around her room on her own and even step out into the small garden at the hospital from time to time. The boys were overjoyed to see their mother's improvement and felt an even deeper sense of gratitude toward Elon Musk. During one of his hospital visits, Elon invited the boys to visit Tesla headquarters for a tour. Both were incredibly excited, never imagining they would have the chance to step into one of the places shaping the future of humanity. Elon personally guided them around the facility, showcasing projects and taking the time to explain even the most complex scientific concepts in a way they could easily understand. The boys stared in awe at the advanced equipment and futuristic projects. The older boy, after listening to Elon's explanation of self-driving cars, asked a question that had been on his mind. "Mr. Elon, how can someone ordinary like me become an engineer like you?" Elon smiled, pausing thoughtfully before responding. "It doesn't matter where you come from or where you start. What matters is that you have passion and a willingness to learn. I faced many challenges myself, but I always believed that with hard work, nothing is impossible." Elon began helping the two boys not just financially but also in their education. He reached out to a prestigious school to ensure they had access to better learning opportunities. With Elon's support, the boys were transferred to a school they had never even dreamed of attending. On their first day at the new school, both boys were nervous. However, Elon personally drove them to school, encouraging them that everything would be fine. He also spoke with their homeroom teacher about their circumstances, requesting the school to provide them with support and assistance as they adjusted. The initial days were challenging, but with encouragement from Elon and their mother, the boys gradually adapted and began to enjoy their new environment. The older boy developed a particular love for science classes and often shared with Elon the new things he had learned. He dreamed of becoming a skilled engineer like Elon, and Elon always encouraged him, assuring him that such a dream was entirely achievable. Elon didn't stop at helping this family. He wanted to use their story to spread a message of compassion and kindness. he decided to host a gathering at Tesla headquarters, inviting the two boys, their mother, and many Tesla employees. Elon's goal was to show everyone that sometimes even small acts of kindness can change someone's life forever. During the gathering, Elon invited the two boys to share their story. At first, they were shy, but with encouragement from Elon and their mother, they bravely recounted the struggles their family had faced and how Elon had stepped in to help them. Their story deeply moved everyone in attendance, demonstrating that Elon wasn't just an inventor or entrepreneur but also a person with great empathy. Elon also shared his perspective, explaining that for him, success wasn't solely about inventions or technology but also about helping others. He expressed his hope that his employees could also find joy in acts of kindness and remember that we live not just for ourselves but also for the community around us. As time passed, the boys' mother fully recovered and was able to return home, their family reunited in happiness and newfound hope. Thanks to Elon's help, the two boys had the opportunity to study and grow, and they always regarded Elon as a mentor and a great friend. Elon, too, felt deeply satisfied with what he had done. He realized that while his projects in space and technology were important, helping ordinary people brought him a unique sense of joy and meaning. He continued to keep track of the boys' progress, offering assistance when needed and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. The story of Elon Musk and the two boys was not just a tale of rescue but also one of hope, compassion, and using one's success to bring happiness to others. And so, a new journey began not just for the boys but also for Elon, filled with lessons and inspiration drawn from the power of human kindness.